touch sin dies. Poison. You're just like me. Just like this one. It's a scream, baby. Hold on a sec. I'll be right back.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my video. Sorry it's been a long minute since I've done a video, but you know, with working 2 jobs and then just kind of having burnout of those 2 jobs, and also I am a horror fan, of course, obviously, hence the title of my channel, but I'm also a lover of romance stuff, so I love romantic comedies and things like that. So, over the last couple of months, I've been obsessed with the 3rd season of Bridgerton, as most everyone else. So anyways, that was why I've been away for quite a bit, is because working 2 jobs and obsessing over Bridgerton. So it's not just horror movies that I'm obsessing over. So anyways, thanks for bearing with me. But in today's video, it's going to be a little bit different, but not different. I'm sure that there's plenty of different videos like this that people have done in the past. Or at least similar videos. And so it's not going to be that original. But in today's video, I have kind of a list here of different movies that I think are great, like I would say kind of under-talked, or, you know, the underdogs of that are not talked about, I don't think, enough, at least. And they are more like thrillers than they are horrors, but I think thrillers are just a subgenre to horror. So these are great movies that it's kind of like, it's not just good thriller movies, but also a good intro to horror type movie. And I know I've done another video like that, which I still stand by, and I have kind of mentioned a couple of these on that video. So a couple of these you're going to already have heard of on that one. But if you are wanting to kind of be like, this would be more like a video of a beginner before the beginner of horror movies, if that makes sense. But with thriller movies instead of horror. But technically, thriller is a subgenre to horror. So anyways, I was trying to go for ones that I don't hear enough about on these types, of horror channels and horror videos. So, and then I'm going to kind of mention a couple that are like, you watched and talked about a lot. And a couple of these, people have talked about and actually mentioned quite a bit, but not like I said, others that aren't really talked, I think, not enough of. So I'm going to start out with The Store of Echoes. The Store of Echoes is such a good movie. And it stars Kevin Bacon. And Kevin Bacon, along with, what's his name? I just looked him up. But, oh gosh. I will put his name somewhere in here. But he was in Jeepers Creepers, Barbarian, Drive Me to Hell. So, this gentleman that I will name, and I don't know why his name is right there, I just can't get him out of my mouth. So, and if you know who I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about. But Kevin Bacon and this man is definitely some, like, Scream Kings. Like, they have been in so many horror movies. Like I said, this gentleman, I can't remember at the top of my head, and I probably will remember his name in the middle of this video. But anyway, so this man I can't remember, who a name will be put on here. He was in, like I said, Jeepers Creepers, Drive Me to Hell, Barbarian most recently, or at least semi-recently. And then Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon, his very first, like, premiere role that he was in a classic slasher of, Friday the 13th. The bunk bed. Similar to Johnny Depp and, Jason, So anyways, that was such a good one, but it stars Kevin Bacon, and Store of Echoes, like I said, is starring him, Kevin Bacon, and he is a man who, I'm going to kind of do kind of like a, not necessarily a spoiler, but just kind of like an over synopsis type of thing of what, and some of these I haven't seen in years. So mind you, my memory might be shot, and I know I should have done better research. But anyway, Kevin Bacon plays a man who lives in New York with his wife and child. And his sister-in-law, basically, it kind of suggests, or because they were having a house party, because they recently moved into this apartment, suggested that at this party that they're having at their, like, a housewarming party, that they should do some, and because the sister-in-law is into, like, seances and putting you under hypnosis. Why did I say it like that? I'm sorry. Hypnosis. See, I'm saying it again, but you know what I mean. She suggests that he does that, and so when she put him under, somehow he is connected to, like, a spirit. Like, he sees these hallucinations that sees this young girl. She's a teenager, and so since he recently moved into this place, she's seeing what he assumes, and or at least as we go along, her spirit, and kind of it's like a mystery, murder, thriller, figuring out what's going on. So it's just about his life with his wife and kid and sister-in-law, and just figuring out what's going on in this house. And just the whole thrilling aspect of that. So that's all I'm going to say. I would say, if you can find it, I'm just going to simply say that odds are all these movies I'm going to mention, I'm pretty much going to guarantee will be able for you to buy/rent on Amazon. I'm just going to be safe to say it's going to be that. But I would also suggest, if any of these movies I'm going to mention you want to check out, try Amazon Prime to see if it's streaming for free on Amazon Prime, or at least you can rent or buy from Amazon Prime. But I know some of these are, from the last I checked, I remember at least seeing it on free streaming services like Tubi or Freevee, which is technically an Amazon product, but you don't have to pay for it. So anyways, I would say any of these movies, try checking Tubi, Freevee, Plex, Pluto, Roku channel. Like, all of those are free streaming services that most likely also going to have some of these titles on there to stream for free. So before anything else, try those free streaming services for any of these movies before you rent or buy them. But anyway, Stir of Echoes is such a great thriller movie. It's like more of a murder mystery thriller. And so if that's up your alley, try Stir of Echoes. Kevin Bacon is amazing in this role. And if you're a fan of Law & Order, like the original / Criminal Intent / SVU, you'll find Catherine Erb from Criminal Intent, from that, who plays his wife, and I love her. She's amazing. Anyway, the next one is going to be Stigmata, which is like a religious thriller type of situation, and it stars Patricia Arquette of a great Arquette family. And if that name sounds familiar, of course, Patricia Arquette, of course, I love her. She also played in that thriller TV show called Medium, where she, of course, plays a medium. But also, she is famously the sister of no other than our dude, Dewey. Oh my gosh, David Arquette, there you go, from the Scream franchise. So that family is kind of in the hype of the horror franchise, because you got Patricia Arquette and Stigmata, but not only Stigmata, but her very first, just like Kevin Bacon and just like Johnny Depp, her very first real, like, movie that she was in was also a Jason movie. No, not Jason, a Freddy movie. She was in, like, the third movie, Dream Warriors of Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors. So, and then of course we know David Arquette was in the Scream franchise. So, great movie right there as well. It's like, again, it's more of a drama, thriller, religious type of situation, and it's about this woman similar to Kevin Bacon's character in Stir of Echoes, where she is kind of like the conduit of this demon slash whatever you want to call it, evil spirit that kind of. So it almost sounds like it's one of those old-fashioned, oh my gosh, like, oh, she's being possessed type of things, but it's actually really good. I remember being, when I was younger, like a teen, almost like a preteen, watching this and really found it fascinating and watched it. So like I said, she kind of is this, not necessarily, is she like, this is one of the movies that I haven't seen in years, but it did have a good impact on me. That I believe she was like an atheist, her character, the character was like an atheist slash prostitute or something. And correct me if I'm wrong, if you've seen this movie more recently. But I want to say, I have a feeling, correct me if I'm wrong, she's like a character, like I guess that she's an atheist, or she doesn't believe in God, or she doesn't, or at least doesn't, is unsure. But somehow she gets possessed by some spirit, and just kind of similar to, The Exorcist, where people are trying to help her, etc. And I just thought that Patricia Arquette did an amazing job in that movie, and it's just such a good movie. And this next one, I'm going to say, I was kind of debating whether I wanted to put this on this list and mention it, because I did mention it in one of my previous videos of my movies that would be a great beginner for horror, like beginner horror movie, and people have talked about it and have watched it and have enjoyed it, and it's The Others with Nicole Kidman. So The Others is more of a slower burn, which is why I put it on that list of a great beginner horror, but it's also a thriller and a murder mystery type of thing, a ghost story. So it's definitely a slower burn. It's definitely a ghost story. It's definitely a lot of different things rolled into one. So if you like ghost stories, if you like that sort of thing, and gothic, or like it's a gothic ghost story, it's amazing. It does get talked about, but I don't think it gets talked about enough. So The Others is a great movie, just in general. The next one I'm going to talk about is Crawl. So this one I only saw on the one time, and I think I saw on like Tubi or something. Not sure if it's on Tubi. This was like a couple of years ago. It could still be on Tubi, but I'm pretty sure it could be on one of those free streaming services, but it's a creature feature. So if you like creature features, if you like stuff similar to that, and this is why I put this one on here, Crawl, because I didn't want to put like 47 Meters Down or Jaws, because Jaws especially, and maybe 47 Meters Down is one of those movies that are getting more popular like Jaws. Well, nothing's going to beat Jaws, but Jaws is just a classic creature feature of sharks and stuff. But 47 Meters Down is, and 47 Meters Down on Cage. I don't know if they're going to make it, if there is a third one, or if they're going to make a third one of that, because the first two 47 Meters Downs have been doing pretty good in the box office. But anyway, but Jaws and 47 Meters Down seems to be getting the most talked about when it comes to this creature features. And of course, nothing can go wrong with The Creature from Blue Lagoon, which is from like the 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever. But Crawl, I only saw it the once. I thought it was okay, especially if you're afraid of, crocodiles and things like that. So it starred Kayla or whatever. I can never pronounce her last name. But she's a British actress. I loved her in the Maze Runner series, movie of movies. She was amazing in those, and I thought she was really good in this one. So basically, it's about a woman who is going to visit her father, and I believe in Florida, because of course Florida is one of the places that have crocodiles. And so she's going into her father's house, trying to find him. She can't find him. And then of course it's like a hurricane, and she's trying to survive in the house with, alligators all around. So just trying to, survive that. So if you like creature features, love Jaws, creature features, stuff like that, you'll love this one. Underwater is the next one I'm going to mention. This one, I was kind of not overhyped, but when it did have a good and what I mean, but I don't mean overhyped. So forget I said overhyped, but it did have a good advertisement for it, mainly because it has Kristen Stewart in it, and it was around the same time that they were also doing some advertisements for, I believe, Charlie's Angels, because she was in that one. But this underwater one actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like, it, just through the advertisement, it didn't look as good as it was being made out to be, you know what I mean? But I actually quite enjoyed it. It's another creature feature like Crawl or Jaws, but I thought it was pretty good. It was kind of one of those things where you can pretty much see the creature, but it's kind of hidden, and you're like, that makes it a little bit more scarier, just because you don't see it that well. And so, and just like the title, they're underwater, so they're at the bottom on the ocean floor. So it's not like they can just run out of their building or wherever they're from and just run out and run away. Like, they're underwater. Like, it'll take them a long time to get to the surface, and that makes it even more scary. And so they would have, just like if you're in space, you have to get in these special suits in order to breathe because you're underwater. So that makes it all makes it a lot more scary that way. So anyway, this next one I was debating whether I wanted to put on this list at all, because it's not necessarily a thriller or scary movie at all, but I would say I put it on this list because there is some adrenaline pumping through your veins through it with this one, and it's called Fall. It came out 3 years ago, and it has it doesn't have like a big name cast like I don't know, Jamie Lee Curtis or anything like that, mind you, but it has a couple of good names that I've known for a while, and you might recognize from a couple of recent horror franchises. One of the leads is from the girl from Annabelle. Annabelle Creation. So she was one of the girls who was orphan, not the younger girls, not the two younger girls, there's 4 younger girls in Annabelle Creation and 2 older girls. She was one of the older girls. That was like the brunette older girl who was like who got stuck in like they were outside and she got stuck in the farmhouse, like the barn, and she was climbing the ladder, and the light bulb kind of shattered on her face, and the scarecrow was coming after her. That girl. And so, but yeah, she did a good job in that one, and she was also in Shazam and Shazam 1 and 2, and she was one of the younger versions, one of the orphans again in that one, and Mary from Shazam. She played one of the younger versions of the superheroes. And then the other girl is a blonde, and she played one of Andy. Is the actress's name? Not the actress in Fall, but Jamie Lee Curtis's granddaughter in the new 2018 film of Halloween. So it was Jamie Lee Curtis's granddaughter's friend. That was the blonde babysitter of that cute black kid that was like, oh, I'd rather him die. I'd rather have your boyfriend die. So it was those 2 girls. So one from Annabelle, the other from Halloween. I'm sorry, I'm taking too long. I apologize. But Fall is about these 2 girls after one of their husbands died. Well, only one of them is married, but after one of the husbands died, the friend is trying to get her to, get out of the house, stop being so, trying to get her out of her funk. But the reason why the husband died is because they were all like thrill seekers. And that's another reason why I put this on this list, Fall, because they're all thrill seekers. They like to climb and be like mountain climbing and stuff like that, and just whatever. And so he died from a falling accident. Another reason why this is named Fall. And so they go to this tallest radio tower and try to climb this the tallest radio tower. And, all hell breaks loose and things happen and it can get very intense. So that's why I put this on this list, is because, of people that like to jump off airplanes or climb things without, safety harnesses and stuff like that. That's thrilling. So yeah, and it was actually a good watch. Like it was a lot more thrilling and intense than I thought it was. Not like I was like nail biting or anything like that, but I didn't really watch anything before. I didn't watch any of the like advertisements or anything like that beforehand, so I went in blind, and I thought the acting was okay, and it actually had another third person that was also in another horror franchise. The husband, he was only in it for like 2 or 3 minutes, but the husband was played by I can't remember the kid's name, but he played Chad in the Scream franchise in 5 and 6. So one of the Meeks twins. So yeah, that was a good one. I recommend that. I'm not 100% sure where that was going to be streaming. Most likely you could probably rent it on Amazon, but I think maybe one of the last times I remember maybe seeing ads for it on my Roku is that it might be on Starz. So if you have Starz, it might be on there. So the next one I am mentioning is a Stephen King's adaptation. So it is pretty popular, I would say, but I don't think it is as popular as, say, It, like Stephen King's It, or Stephen King's The Shining, or anything like that, mind you. But Rose Red is one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations, next to the original TV movie series of Stephen King's It. So it came out in the early 2000s, like 2000, 2001, and it has actually one of my favorite actresses in it, and she was also in another Halloween movie, but it wasn't necessarily, it was a Halloween, but it wasn't like a horror movie. It's Halloween Town. Kimberly J. Brown plays Marnie in Halloween Town, and so she was in Rose Red. So if you like Halloween Town and you like that actress, you'll like Rose Red. But apparently this is like the same script, or he reworked it a little bit, because this is an adaptation of his own story based off of a real place that apparently is similar to, if you saw the Winchester movie from like 5 or 6 years ago, it's kind of like that, plus The Haunting. The Haunting from 99 with Luke Wilson, Catherine Zeta-Jones. I can't remember her last name, but Lily. She was the mom in the Conjuring movie. Hence I said movie, not movies. I'm not talking about the actress who plays Lorraine Warren. I'm talking about the mom from the first movie that got the bruises and got inhabited by that witch or whatever. So anyway, her. And then so apparently Stephen King was going to be writing the script for that movie, but then they decided not to use him or that script, so Stephen King decided to kind of readapt that and made Rose Red instead. So I love that. And then, but Rose Red is also a mix of The Haunting with like the old 50s one as well as his own thing, a little spin. So Rose Red is the name of a house that builds itself, apparently, and that's why it's similar to Winchester, because the spirits say, oh, you have to keep building, you have to keep building, you have to keep building. The house will never be done unless you keep building. So it's like a ghost story basically as well, and it's done so well. The practical effects is amazing. There's a couple of good jump scares because of the good practical, and even the CGI is not actually that terrible. So I just thought that was such a good one. That is actually, as of right now, on Hulu. So go watch it. And then this next one I'm going to mention, I haven't seen in years, so I can't remember exactly at the top of my head what this movie's about, but I do remember watching it a lot as a kid because I would rent it from Blockbuster. But it's called The Frighteners. So in the comments, if you've watched this recently or remember what it's about, type it down in the comments. But The Frighteners stars the great Michael J. Fox. So basically it's about him. From what I remember, he can, works or lives at a place that is haunted by ghosts, and he's like being brought, being stalked by ghosts or something or other. But I just thought it was a good movie. Again, I haven't seen it forever, so I just remember bits and pieces of it, but I still thought it was good. So the next one I'm going to mention is, again, not necessarily a thriller. It is a thriller, but it's not necessarily a horror movie either, and it's called Unsane. This one, I think, was kind of popular at some point, if not for the movie itself, but just how it came to be and how it was made. It was the movie that was known as being the movie that was filmed on an iPhone. So if you remember hearing a movie that was filmed on an iPhone, this is that movie. It's called Unsane. So it had Claire Foy, who is, a decent, more recognizable actor now, but she is playing a woman who believes she's being stalked by a man, and she just so happens to look up a place where she can go and stay a couple of days, not, just to stay, to be, oh my gosh, I'm saying, and kind of like a hotel. She thinks it's like a hotel type of thing, so she can go on a little vacation. But it turns out it seems to be like an unknown to her that she actually committed herself into like a psych ward type of situation. But she thought it was just like a hotel retreat type of thing. And turns out her stalker, or at least who she thinks is her stalker, works there, and she thinks she's being stalked by her stalker. So little things like that unravel. So yeah, I would recommend that one. Again, I can't, maybe at some point it was streaming free on Tubi or maybe Amazon Prime. Again, look this up, and if you have a VPN, a virtual private network, try hopping different countries and see if that will bring up it for free for you. That's what I usually do. If I can't find a movie that's free in my country of the USA, I will use my VPN and just say I'm in England or say I'm in Australia, and then I can see if on their platforms if it's free on there. So anyway, the next one, or should I say three, technically four if you count it, I guess, is actually very popular, I think, but it's the Mummy trilogy. And I'm not talking about the crappy Tom Cruise one. I'm talking about the one from like 1999 to 2004-ish with Brendan Fraser. I love those ones. The third one is questionable because it doesn't have Rachel Weisz in it. So anyway, the first two I really enjoy, and the Scorpion King was actually pretty decent with The Rock. The CGA in that movie, not so much. But anyways, the Mummy trilogy I think is really good. Again, it's a good intro to horror. There is one or two jump scares here and there in the first one especially, but it's a mummy, the classic universal horror monsters of like the Mummy, Dracula, It's great. And so I'm not going to talk much about that because I think most people know what that one's about. The next one is Disney's. Yes, Disney has done a horror movie, but it's called, and their only horror movie, and it's called Watcher in the Woods. So I mentioned this one in my whole intro to horror thing, so I'm not going to talk too much about that one either. But it's about a family who moves to a new place, and their elderly neighbor, and the girls are like figuring out some stuff that may have happened at this place not too long before, or at least to the daughter of this elderly lady. So just things happen, things get scary, blah, blah, blah. So this next one has always been a favorite of mine. I've read the book it's based on, and I've, of course, owned 2 DVDs, copies of it actually, unbeknownst to me until recently. But the next one I'm going to say is based off of a book and not a Stephen King's book. So I have a couple of books on here based off books, movies. Like the first one was Stephen King's Rose Red, but this one is by James Patterson, and it's called Kiss the Girls. So this is one of the few books and movie adaptations that I like the movie as much as I like the book. Because, 99.99% of the time, people enjoy the books better than the movie. But Kiss the Girls is so good. It has, like, a great cast. Like, of course, it was, like, the mid-90s movie. And it has a great, like, stellar cast of Morgan Freeman. Like, come on, Morgan Freeman. And then Ashley Judd. And this was one of the first movies that they've been in together. Morgan Freeman and Ashley Judd have been in like 2 or 3 movies together. But, and then also the other one is Carrie Elvis. I can never pronounce his last name. I apologize if I butchered your name. I'm sorry. But, he is the, masked hero from the Father of the Bride. Not Father of the Bride. Oh my gosh. Princess and the Bride. Yeah, Princess and the Bride. Buttercup, Princess Buttercup. So anyways, he was in that as well. It's such a good movie, and it's definitely like more of a kidnapping, murder mystery, whodunit type of thing, but I thought it was pretty good. And I'm putting 2 movies in this next little thing because they're pretty similar, but not. And this is also a couple of movies I put on my beginner to horror list. And the first one is Haunt. So Haunt is such a good movie. I saw, and these 2 movies I'm mentioning here at the same time, I watched in the movies because I work in a movie theater, so I can get to see free movies. And one of the girls in it, I'm like, why does she look so familiar? It's one of the McLean sisters. One of the McLean sisters. I'm not talking about Shirley MacLaine for all you older people. I'm talking about like China McLean from Ant Farm and Descendants. So, but the movie that I grew up, I actually not grow up, I'm actually a lot older, but I remember when they were young, when China McLean and her sisters were really, really, really young. They were in a Tyler Perry movie. I can't remember the name of the Tyler Perry movie, but it's like My Girls, or it's like the title of the Tyler Perry movie is called like My Girls, Trying to Get My Girls, Save My Girls. Like it had something girls in the name. But basically it stars Tyler Perry and the McLean sisters. So China McLean and her 2 sisters. I think China is the middle child, and then there's the older sister, and then there's the younger sister. So it's the older sister of China. So anyways, the older China's older sister, McLean, she's in this. I was like, why does she look familiar? And then I also remember watching her in that Tyler Perry movie. But Haunt is about a group of friends on Halloween who is like, oh, let's go do something for Halloween, obviously. Can't go trick-or-treating, we're too old for that. So they go to a haunt, hence the name, and they think that it's just a regular place that they can go through, a haunted house type of thing. But it gives me that vibe of that, what's the name of that movie? But a vibe of that Rob Zombie movie where they go to that gas station and they have that little, where you go through that little dark ride type of situation, is similar to that, has vibes of that Rob Zombie movie. But they go through this little haunt and they think it's just a fun little game, and they're pretty much fighting for their life, and it's such a good movie. And then the next one I'm pairing this with is called Hellfest. Hellfest is such a good movie. So similar to Haunt, this group of friends go to a theme park kind of situation, similar to the Hollywood Horror Nights, where they go and people jump out and scare you, blah blah blah, and things like that. So just what you think could go wrong goes wrong, and it's so much fun. And then this one is talked about, but not nearly as much. It's talked about because not a lot of people like this movie. I actually enjoyed it, and it's the Fantasy Island with Lucy Hale. I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed Fantasy Island a lot with Lucy Hale, a lot better than Lucy Hale's stupid Truth or Dare one. Ugh. But I thought it was okay. I don't think it's as bad as people are making it out to be. But anyway, that's enough said, because kind of talked about that movie a little bit, and I'm trying to make these videos a little bit shorter for you guys. so you don't have to keep hearing my voice. But the next movies are kind of popular, but I still want to mention them because they are thrillers, and they're in the genre of not just thrillers, but they're home invasion types, and it's the Strangers movies. And I haven't seen the most recent one, like The Strangers Part 1, because The Strangers Part 1 is like a reboot from the original, from 2008 with Liv Tyler. So I honestly, to be fair with you, I actually haven't watched the first Strangers from 2008 all the way through. I've seen, bits and pieces of it here and there. I get the gist. I actually have watched the second one, The Strangers Pray at Night, like a handful of times. Mainly because I love pretty much all the actors in that movie. Not that I don't love Liv Tyler. I love Liv Tyler. But I love Bailey Madison. I love, my gosh, his name. He's from Virgin River, and also he was in The Ring. He was the father / dad, whatever, in that one, in The Ring. And then also, Bill Pullman's son is in it, as well as Christina, what's her name? The redhead from not Mad Girls, but Mad Men. So I love all those people in there, like every single person in that movie. So anyways, those Stranger movies are really good thriller, whodunit / invasion movies. So if you like that, you like those. There's other movies that I think would be a great, that are more popular, that one of them is already in theaters right now, and it's the Quiet Place trilogy. So if those are like great thriller movies, some people pretty much probably won't even call those horror movies. They call them more of a thriller. So I could, agree with that, but it can be scary when you have that type of situation where you have to be very quiet and not have to make sound, and you can die if you do. That's kind of scary. So that is, a good one if you want more of the popular route. And then, of course, all the obvious ones of like Halloween and Friday the 13th and blah, blah, blah. But the next one I think is pretty much talked about a lot, but I don't think enough, but I still did not want to put it on the main list, and it's The Craft. And The Craft is so good. So for those of you who have seen that and love that movie, just ignore the rest of this because you already know how good The Craft is. But Craft is like a witchy movie / gothic / 90s teen type of movie. So it's kind of like if Gotham met Clueless type of situation. And I love that movie. It's so good. And then I'm not going to say much because I'm sure a lot of you already have seen that movie or know of that movie. But the last one I'm going to speak of is The Sixth Sense. And anyone has either seen this movie or heard of it and know the twist, blah, blah, blah. But that is and I put this also on my list of like, excuse me, of good beginner horror movies. So yeah. And I'm just one that popped in my head that I think is actually a good one that I'm putting on this list of ones to watch that is more of a thriller movie, but I also did put on my beginner horror list is Darkness Falls. So it's definitely a spooky ghost story in this vein of maybe scary stories to tell in the dark type of situation. A similar monster from that scary stories to tell in the dark, but it's about the Tooth Fairy and how it's like a mix of scary, like a story from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark meets Lights Out. Like if you were to combine Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark and Lights Out comes together. So basically, it's similar in tone that this monster can only get you in the dark, which is why it's a lot like Lights Out. And then the monster-esque type thing is similar to a story from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. But anyways, that's another good one if you haven't seen that one. It's such a good movie. I love it. So yeah, I think that's going to end this video here, and I apologize for my appearance. I look ugly. I always look ugly, but I hope you have a great rest of your day and stay spooky.